Similar to the previous problems, we also have the possibility of seeing something along these lines, where the specified ratio isn't actually a ratio, rather it's given to us in terms of a variable. Now, nothing about the process is going to change, however. Theta is equal to the arcsine of u, which is equivalent to saying that the sine of theta is equal to u. We're going to express that as a ratio, and we'll call it u over 1. That'll allow us to label the appropriate sides. Now, it was not specified for us whether u is in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4, but because we're about to take the tangent of that, it doesn't particularly matter. So we will label the opposite side as u, the hypotenuse as 1, and we'll call that angle theta. You now know two sides of a right triangle. You can apply the Pythagorean Theorem to find the third. A squared plus b squared is r squared. So a squared plus u squared is equal to 1 squared, and we're trying to solve for a. Now this tells me that a squared is equal to 1 minus u squared, and then we take the square root of both sides. So a is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus u squared. You'll notice, though, that a is in either quadrant 1 or quadrant 4, and regardless, that's going to be a positive square root. Now, heading back to the original problem, we were interested in finding the tangent of this angle. Tangent is going to be opposite over adjacent. The opposite side is u. The adjacent side is the square root of 1 minus u squared. That would be our final answer. Now, a little bit below this, we also have the cosecant of the inverse cosine of u. We'll start as we did before. Label our inverse trigonometric function as an angle. So we'll say that theta is equal to the inverse cosine of u, which is equivalent to saying that the cosine of theta is equal to u. We'll also express that as a ratio. We'll call that u over 1. Now that would be the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. Now we didn't specify if u is positive or negative, and because it's the cosine, this could potentially be in either quadrant 1 or in quadrant 2. Regardless, the side that we'll be solving for will be the vertical side, and it's going to wind up being positive anyway, so no big deal there. So we'll label the adjacent side as being u. We'll label the hypotenuse as being 1. You now know two sides of a right triangle. You can use the Pythagorean Theorem to find the third. So that'll be u squared plus b squared is equal to 1 squared, or equivalently, b squared is equal to 1 minus u squared. Then take a square root of both sides. Now, we did point out that this could be a quadrant 1 angle or it could be a quadrant 2 angle. Regardless, the vertical side is going to be positive, which is why we're going to select the positive square root of 1 minus u squared. Now, with those things in mind, we're looking for the cosecant of this angle. And as a reminder, the cosecant is a hoe. That's the hypotenuse over the opposite side. The hypotenuse is 1. The opposite side is the square root of 1 minus u squared. And that is that.